they're the one I'm talking about.
Oh, they're the
Supervisor.
ones, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Supervisor.
Now,
What about the other issues that we talked about at the last meeting? Where do we stand with, forward movement on that? 'Cause I know we've got issues, obviously, with gutters.
The gutters, Tom has started, clearing the gutters on the, any first levels that he can reach.
Oh, okay, sorry, so I jumped forward, I'm sorry, that's down in B&O business.
That's right.
No,
Yeah, we can
okay,
discuss it now.
sorry.
The good news is, the roofing company, Prime Roofing, has, started doing gutter installations. So they'll be part of the, proposal, bid proposal process. I know that we weren't necessarily satisfied with the job that the previous, gutter company did as far as, installs and design, so,
Hey Glenn, I have a question for you today.
yes, Ben.
So you're saying that Prime Roofing is now installing gutters?
Yes, sir.
Have you asked them to do a proposal for us?
Yeah.
And is it gonna be based on their design, or is it gonna be based on the design that was done possibly wrong, or is it gonna be the same as the old?
Whatever
Yeah.
whatever we would like. I'm gonna be meeting with them next week to, discuss that, as well as what kind of cost they're looking at, to do the job. And they're gonna take recommendations, well, our input, and give their recommendations on, redesign if that's,
So what other gutter companies have you got lined up to do quotes?
just the previous, gutter company.
I didn't know Prime did gutters, I thought that was the.
They just,
No.
they just
That's
started.
brand new.
Started, do we want them if they just started? Are they new? Do they know what they're doing?
All right.
I would think based on, the reputation that they established with you as far as their roofing is concerned, if you're not satisfied with their roofing, I'm sure that, they wouldn't expand upon their talents, but, that's decision to be made by the board. If you're not satisfied or aren't confident, we can express that to them and find out what type of, guarantee they'll provide as far as their workmanship is concerned.
When is that meeting?
I checked with Steve to see what his availability was, and it'll be anytime we want next week.
Okay, let me know.
Okay, we'll do.
we'll make sure you can call in, Vic.
All right.
And, couple last points, the budget workshop is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just a comment, Glenn, I know that you're meeting with the landscape guy once a week. I have to tell you, I don't think he's talking to his guys. It's not, there's a disconnect. Yesterday, 11:30, quarter to 12, there's a young man with the blower. And they must tell him to clear the interior roads, because that's what he was doing, and blowing the leaves, just as people have complained, up against the grass in the houses. So there's a disconnect between what the supervisor says he's doing and what his people are doing as late as yesterday at 11:45.
What bill do you need?
Oh, I'm not, but he was out in the middle of the road, blowing the leaves against everybody's condo.
It's every building.
And there's been a lot of complaints about that, but I think the supervisor needs to tell his people not to do that.
He says he's telling them, but you know, I just.
Well, maybe he needs to be in a golf cart watching
Yeah,
them
I agree.
supervising
It's
them.
uncalled for, I agree.
And it would solve so many problems, people are so angry.
Yeah, they are.
If that can be resolved, then they're probably good to go.
Well, Jabal wants to come to, one of our next board meetings. They wanted to come tonight, and we put it off only because we had two other guest speakers, so, they will come out and they will hear your pleas, but, between now and the 17th, I'll see what we can do about meeting with you at your building, and
You don't have to, it's just the kids are being told to get the stuff out of the street, and they're blowing it against people's condos.
Should we have a special meeting on it, instead of waiting a month? Let's have a special meeting and hit this thing, because this is a constant thing that just keeps reoccurring.
Well,
It's a joke, them blowing the leaf.
Yeah.
Because the wind comes and blows it right back. What, we waste 2 people walking around with the blower for hours. For what? For the wind to come and blow it
Yeah,
right back?
I think we need to have, we don't need to be pushing this thing out a month. I wanted them here today, but I know we had these other people. But I think it's something, because we have enough complaints across the board, it's something we need to address and get, I mean, this Mike guy's coming every Tuesday, but nothing seems to change. You know?
They do have a machine that they can rent their own that goes and sweeps up and mulches the leaves and they keep. There's a machine, it doesn't cost that much either, I've seen it online.
well, no, it doesn't cost much for them, but they will charge us. Vic, do you have any comments on this?
Not for us to buy, but for them, for landscapers.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's the same as it's been. I guess a special meeting would be a good idea to have Mike come in and sit down and have everyone who has complaints speak directly to him about it.
Well,
It's just too many, I mean, it's too many to just put off and put off and put off. you know?
Mike would bring in some of his supervisors for the meeting, so we can do that.
Let's organize it and not sit on it, and let's get it like as soon as we can.
Okay?
Well, I'd like to do it with Vic back
When is he back in town?
November 8th.
Yeah, November 8th I'll be back. So if you want to do it that week,
So we,
Which is that next week or?
Thursday or Friday.
a week Monday.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion that we set up a special meeting with Duval Landscaping to have Mike, our account manager, come in and discuss the complaints that everyone has.
Yeah, I second that, Vic.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Pass.
All right. So Glenn, why don't you set that up
We'll do,
maybe Thursday or Friday that week or whenever they're available?
we'll do.
And maybe we need, like you said, maybe we need someone besides Mike Woldridge, because, you know, you.
Well, Devin will definitely come and maybe we can get their regional manager, Mike.
The one from the email?
Yeah, he's in charge of the company here in this section.
Okay.
From a personal standpoint though, this is gonna be the last, oh, sorry, I forgot all about you. I'll get back, okay? Keep reading. This will be the last special meeting we have for Duval.
Yes,
If they can't get it after this, as far as I'm concerned, they're done.
yes.
You know, we've gone around and around, and if the
Babysitting.
community continues not to be happy with their performance, then, you know, we're done. So, make your voices heard,
Mm-hmm.
let's get it out in the open. If people aren't happy after that, then we're gonna make a change.
Yeah,
One
okay.
thing about it now, if you're gonna cut them loose, be sure they do the leaf cleanup that they were supposed to do according to the contract before you cut them loose.
Oh, sure.
Otherwise, we'll have another special assessment by another contractor or landscaper coming in and saying, yeah, we have to do a special cleanup because the previous landscapers have left all the leaves behind.
Thank you for that.
Not only that, but we want our $5,000 of stuff up front that we were promised 3 months
I
ago
was
as
just
well.
gonna say.
Absolutely. So it's just, I don't know, anyway,
It's time for those dead flowers to come out.
yeah, and it's time to, for
Time
them
to
to
have
follow.
some landscape.
It's time for them to follow through. I know these straight things, I don't know, Chris, what are they called? It's a shame when Chris has to go around and cut all these straight things that I complain about, and I've told and talked, Glenn, remember the straight things I talked about? They need to get on them, they look like crap. And this is our entryway, people come through the doors.
Yeah, but nothing happens in the back of the complex. But over by the people that live in the other area, it doesn't get as pretty as what they do here when you drive
Well,
through.
this isn't, what I'm seeing up front, like last year, the excuse was we had the cold snap. Okay, 6 months later, we finally got Chris Conley to take care of it. It probably didn't take him long, but we gotta quit with all these excuses of why we have to tell these people of what to do. That's why we hired this place, is they were gonna be proactive, they were gonna hit this thing on the head, and we were gonna let them go. And here we are 3 months later, and we got more complaints
Every company is just as bad. Historically, they all come in, they've got a, slick and glossy dog and pony show, and they don't deliver.
You're right.
And they don't care because they know that there's another complex a year from now or 6 months from now who has gotten pissed off with their landscaper and fired them, so they hired me. It's a revolving door.
So what do we do about that? Does anybody have an idea?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
What do we do about it?
Go around to other communities.
You know, you get what you
that
pay
look
for.
good,
Well, we're getting, I mean.
okay, and you go to other communities that look good and look the way that you would like ours to look, and you find out who does their landscape.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then here comes the excuse. Oh, but you got so many trees.
Well, that isn't a valid excuse, and we do need to lose trees.
Okay, but the problem is we tell the people, before you bid this job, you take a look at the trees and you bid accordingly.
We told them
Every time.
and they still, oh, we
You can look,
I know.
you can look at elements and you can look at landings, and when you, especially elements, because that layout is very similar to this layout.
Yes.
I like when I pull up and I see elements, and I was like, wow, we have plants, we have color, this is pretty. Then we see this ratty crap that sits in front of Lakecrest, and I'm like, why aren't we going to elements or even the landings and going, look, we want to hire that landscaper and
It's not, Chris, it's not the landscaper himself, it's what they're paying them.
Right.
They pay a lot more than we
Well, I gotta
pay.
tell you, these people
They
aren't
do.
paying too bad. We just found out what they're being paid. They're not paid that bad.
Really?
This outfit here.
The company that is doing the landscaping at, the Elements next door is Brightview.
Yeah.
That was in
Yeah.
are they still doing it now?
And sleeping on the job.
Yeah, absolutely,
I mean,
So how does
absolutely
they
right.
get that to be
These guys
so
they
cheap?
pay more.
Yep.
They're big corporate
Yep.
complexes, and it's what.
Okay, but there should be a discount, because when they're doing Castle, there's no travel time for them to include Lakecrest, right?
They're not gonna discount anything,
That's what you would think.
but that's not the way it works.
Well, what about Yellowstone though? What?
It's also about
Yeah.
what we're willing to pay for.
Absolutely.
You know, if we're budget conscious, we want to keep things down, we all get that. But if we want top-notch landscaping, unfortunately, you're gonna have to pay for it. And, you know, I can't have it both ways. I agree though that they should be doing.
I don't think the elements is as much money as we do. I don't think so.
Apartment complexes.
All right, let's,
But bottom line, if you're gonna create a contract, you're gonna honor the contract. I mean, that's the way my mind thinks. We pay you this, you do this. There should be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's real simple.
all right.
And the excuses.
All right, let's get on with the meeting, please.
We have one question here though.
Sure. This might be a stupid question, but so obviously the gutter companies did a terrible job. Everyone sees it during a rainstorm. They have a waterfall coming off the garage around every complex. Why are we paying anyone anything? Why are they coming back out and fixing it?
Absolutely.
That was never done right to begin with.
Well, that's a great question. And there is a possibility of legal action. But we need to go through some things first.
Okay, you guys are still working through it, that makes sense.
Pardon me?
You guys are still working through it, still investigating.
Yes.
If you need somebody to sign up, let us know, because I have that same complaint.
And if you know a bit
It's
about
a lot.
construction, it was obvious on the first day it was wrong what they did.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I mean, what they did was wrong on the first day. If you know a bit about roofing, the way they set up the gutter, sorry, it was wrong, it didn't make sense,
Right.
So first day we could have posted that you have to review that, that doesn't work.
Yeah, we're changing the design in the third phase. And if we hope to maybe go back, but it's gonna eventually cost money to do that. That's why there might be some legal on that, but it depends on how the former contract was written and all that stuff too.
They tore down a gutter on the side of the building, okay? And left the whole area
Yeah.
bring the
We know.
pictures off.
Yeah, we know,
And there's holes that need to be
So how
filled.
many years later are they gonna do that?
right. That needs to be taken care of.
Pronto.
It's on the list.
Yep.
It's gotta be more than on the list, so we need some action. Lot of talk?
Yeah, because, you know, we're fine
that
with
it?
that. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying, you know, for now, it's fine until we get the next hurricane next summer.
There's one
Well,
coming tomorrow.
It's really not fine because we have holes that are seeping moisture in them.
I know.
Okay, what are we doing around it?
Right.
I guess I was understanding if, you know, it's, you have a real problem if you get another Irma or whatever, you know, when you have the two hurricanes come at the same time next summer, that's when it'll get really, really bad. Because I know my back patio during all rainstorms, it's starting to flood now. And beforehand, I wasn't having that problem with even with the hurricanes that came by. You know, in addition to the waterfall that's coming up the front on the garage, very small unit that never noticed.
If you could do me a favor and,
Yeah.
next time we see each other around the block, we see each other all the time. Let's take a trip out back of your Lanai, and I can show you some things that might.
If you got time like that, we can do that, but it's whatever your time.
Okay, sure.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, we'll move along to committee reports. We'll talk first about the landscape committee. The members of the committee have been doing a few projects throughout the community. Mike McFall did a few projects around various buildings. Additionally, he found that the new price of disposing of property tree and palmetto waste with our trailer is now going to be $90 instead of $50. So the price has gone up. This is a pretty significant increase due to many factors, and so he's pursuing the possibility of getting a larger container. And I was told the other day it was 20-yard container is going to be $350, but we can only have it for a week. So we have to kind of decide, all right, if we're going to get this large container and we're going to fill it, do we have enough manpower to get a bunch of stuff done in a week? So we're kind of talking about that now.
What's the point of the larger containers, Steve?
Pardon me?
What's the point of getting a larger container
Well,
for additional money?
you can put probably 10 trailer loads in the 350, and so 10 trailer loads would cost you $900.
Okay, so they charge by the load.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would save us a ton of money.
Okay, gotcha.
Chris Gullich took down a decomposing tree that was behind building 12. There are a couple others in that general area that we'll be assessing to see if they can be taken down reasonably without damaging the building, as one is leaning pretty close to the building. There is also a few other trees behind the middle pool area that need to come down. One is easy, the other two would need to be studied further to ensure that the safety of the building or the pool area. Chris also trimmed some palmettos back around the trash area and tennis courts. I wanted to note to the community that this is great work. It's great work done by a few volunteers. It continues to save the community a boatload of money. Many thanks to Mike and Chris, but also to all the volunteers who dedicate their time to this effort. Once we had determined the cost of all this and the means of disposal, at that time, an email is going to be sent out for volunteers to be on, to help us out, even if you're there an hour's time well spent. Yes, Julie?
Just a quick question, and not to take away from any of the work the volunteers are doing. It's been wonderful and it looks great, but is there any consideration to what liability the association might have in the event that somebody gets hurt? And it's one thing to be pulling palmettos and trimming the shrubs, but taking down trees kind of morphs into something else.
It is. It is. And Glenn has advised us many times, and he continues to bark in my ear about the liability. And there is a liability risk with this. And you have to trust the fact that if we see that it's just too much to handle, we're not gonna do it. There's some big trees around here, we're absolutely not gonna.
That's a risk, that's a big risk to the entire community. Somebody falls, cutting a tree, and he's our neighbor, and we're all friends.
Right.
But if he breaks his leg in 4 places and lies in traction in the hospital for 6 months, he's not gonna be feeling quite so benevolent.
Good point.
That's true.
That's observation.
Yeah, we're gonna say. Why can't you sign a release?
Yeah, that's what just signed a release.
Yeah, exactly. Is signing a release finishing?
That's a legal question.
We'll talk to our attorney about the legal forms and fill out. That's a good point. Thank you for that. All right, Dee Dee, do you have anything on the,
No.
I'm sorry, any other questions?
One more thing, not on trees, but on, speaking of liability, as you all read, there's been multiple young children who have drowned in ponds this summer. And we enjoy our ponds and they're beautiful. And I don't know how you could communicate this, but several times I have seen adults with a little 3 or 4-year-old little kid, and the kid walks all the way to the edge of the water to throw things in for the animals in there. If those kids fall on, we're gonna be liable. Is there some way we can communicate them to them to be very careful? I've seen that way too often.
Well, when you get, I mean, my kid throws rocks in the water.
They walk all the way down near the water, the parents are standing towards the road, they're not holding their hand with the kid down there, the kid is running down there to throw it in. That's, there's no liability in that.
I don't know.
If somebody, how long we had the ponds?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything anyone can do
Well,
about it, they're ponds.
No, it's a fair question. It's a fair question.
It's a risk
Well,
for
well,
our
I mean, they could get bit by a
that we,
nutrient rat.
that we could have.
No, you're right.
Things be communicated. And
No, you're
if
right.
One of those people, I'm concerned for your child.
We'll also bring it up to our attorney when we talk about the other matter and see if there's any kind of things that we can do from a liability standpoint.
But we do have something you can't be feeding animals.
I respect your opinion. I guess I'm kind of the other way on it. Like, I think those signs they put a few years ago that blocks the view of the lakes. But I can really see where you're coming from.
Just worried. Then you're not gonna go in there, there's.
Okay,
See,
thank you.
I think it's a good question. But like, could someone like me do anything? Like, I wouldn't think I could because, how is it the association's responsibility? But maybe, I would never.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, because you're thinking my kid is not
I don't want them to put fences up and all that. I just wanna make people aware that have little ones.
Yep.
There's a danger for them.
I'll report on that next meeting, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, because fences will,
Now, Edie, is there anything from a rules and regulations standpoint that,
I don't know if this is.
Well, we have draft 3 out, and the committee is now reviewing it and making their edits, and then we hope to have it to you guys. We didn't try to rush and get it to y'all tonight because we knew it wouldn't be addressed tonight, but hopefully by the next meeting.
okay, very good. Did I miss a question?
It wasn't really about that, it was rather a general statement, I've been to these meetings now for the last 3 or 4 months. And I just feel like we hear the same thing every meeting, where we're getting estimates, we're checking into this, we're driving around and we're looking at this. And the next meeting, 6 months from now, are we going to be saying the same thing? Are we still going to be saying we're getting estimates on the gutters, we're getting estimates on this? Nothing is getting done. I mean, the bottom line is, the work is not getting done. The only difference that I see in this community that I notice by sight are things that volunteers are doing. I mean,
think it's a good point.
The lawn people, it's not your fault. and I understand, but do something now.
Yeah.
When the gutters, do something now. This is the third meeting you're talking about the gutters. They talked about the porch in Building 5 for 6 months. After it was a year that they redid my frame on my door. Then it's been probably 6 months they're talking about the porch. Now, where they replaced the plywood under my porch, it's turned black. Because they still, I mean, they fix one thing, but if you don't fix something out, it's the same thing over. It's just constant. And I understand these buildings are old, but I mean, I don't feel that anybody's staying on top of anything. I can guarantee you, we'll hear the same thing next month. We're checking into this. I'm driving around and I'm looking at this. First of all, I see very few of management driving around. I mean, I'm not outside a whole lot, but I don't see management driving around in that golf cart. I mean, I hate to say this, but most of the women, their butts would be driving around here all the time. And I don't see it. We email, we don't get answers back. I mean, pardon? Voicemails.
Yeah, okay,
I mean,
you're absolutely right, I agree.
I'm sorry. Or they're out. Then we talk management, and the board doesn't know that the management's even out. I mean, it's just. No voicemail on the property.
First of all, I appreciate what you're saying. And I'll let you digress a bit, even though it's not on the agenda, because other people need to hear this. But, you know, having said that, you can count on the fact that things are going to be taken care of. If you don't see improvement in future meetings, then continue to bring them up. You know, you have every right. But, you know, we have an agenda to get through, and I'm going to, you know, continue to follow through.
It was kind of a general thing, but it was just.
Hello. Maybe you could provide your email to us afterwards, and we could follow up and sit down.
But you know what, I think what Sandy just said is what a lot of people think, but aren't saying. Because I've, as a board member, I hear a lot.
Yes.
And I hear a lot of what Sandy's saying. And it may not be on the agenda, but I think it's time we at least address it, because it is a legitimate concern. We are residents and we expect things that we expect. And it is a case of kicking the can down the road a lot.
Yes,
I agree.
Yes. I mean, I worked out in the yard last Sunday, all afternoon in one little section, cleaning up leaves and stuff. I met probably 5 or 6 people that I never met before. Every single one of them had the same complaints. Some had repairs that they had been a year trying to get things fixed, where they ended up paying for the whole repair themselves just to get it done.
It's terrible.
This is somewhat related, but I have a question as to why there's only 1 seat open for election on the next board.
Definitely not on the agenda, so we're not.
I know, and I'm asking though because we've got board members, we've got a complaint that things aren't getting done. There should be 4 seats. Putting 5 members back on the board would help. We'd have more presence around the community, more boards hands-on. But I know that 1 seat is Debbie's term is coming to an end. Your term, Steve, you were appointed, which means you serve until the next election, and then there were 2 vacancies that were due to resignations earlier in the year. And back in the summer, Vic said that those were going to be filled at the next election. Well, that's now. So we would have 4 seats open. And I'm curious as to why that's happened.
It's not something I want to get into tonight, because we got a lot to go through.
I know
But we are gonna.
We're gonna talk about that next month. We're gonna put it on the agenda. If you want to bring that up, we'll have a discussion about it, but we're not talking about it tonight.
Okay, but one more observation, if we're gonna kick it down until next month, people need to sign up and, you know, have interest, turn that in, and that's all gotta be mailed out to the owners. So
Anybody who, Julie, Julie, anybody who wants to run for the board can apply.
Of course.
There can be as many people running for that one seat as they want to be.
Yeah,
The
but
board can also appoint directors, not appoint directors, we can appoint positions. Non-directors are allowed to be appointed to positions to help the board. So that's something that we might consider. But as of right now, there's one open seat, and there's only one being elected.
But why is Steve's position not being opened as well? That's directed by our governing documents.
It is. Read the docs. It's specifically stated in the docs that there are 3 positions necessary for the board.
Yes, but Debbie's position, Debbie's term is ending, so that's a vacancy. Steve was
I'm
appointed.
sorry, but that's all that we're gonna say.
That's really unfortunate. That's really unfortunate because this has gone out to the not the shareholders, the owners here. And they're thinking that there's only one position open, when the rules require a minimum of 2.
The present board did not write the docs. We follow them. Those are the rules. We're following the rules as written, and that's what we're gonna do. We're trying to do the best.
But you're not doing that.
Ben,
You
would
are
you
not
even explain
following
to me
the
right
governing
now?
I'm sorry, but let's move on.
Okay. Like I said, we'll bring it up next meeting. We
Okay,
can have a full
but
discussion.
you have to understand, this has gone out to the community. It's not factually accurate. It's in the rules. I just gave you the sheet that shows.
We're done.
It's violating.
You're violating Florida state law by doing this.
All right,
What's next?
old business. We're gonna review the lighting bids.
Well, we kind of
Yeah,
discussed.
we already discussed that, okay. We have it here. That needs to be reviewed, and we will do so. Can you give us an update on the phase 3 roofing and gutter and chimney plan?
Pretty much reviewed that already. We're gonna meet next week with Prime Roofing. And we're expecting, or they would like to start the job end of November into December. So we work out the details as far as guttering is concerned. Steve has indicated that the finances are there, so I'm assuming that we've got a green light to probably get the project started end of November into December.
Okay. Next item, backflow replacement.
Backflow, you wanted to schedule it the beginning of October, and I couldn't get notices out in time, so we're gonna schedule it probably in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so it should be done meeting.
Yeah, and it will involve shutting down water to the buildings impacted by it, and I'll send out notices to let you know which ones.
Can we do that a couple days ahead of time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. New business. You want to talk about the website?
I was just made aware of the website. We sent notice out that the website has been launched. I understand that not everyone got the email just this evening. So I'm going to investigate with my coworker here, Cameron, as to how that happened or why that happened. Get that resolved and make sure everyone has a notification. There is a requirement that you have to log in to get your, go to the website and get a login for it. So we'll be pursuing that and send out notifications as soon as we get to the bottom of why everyone didn't receive the email. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question, are the contracts and budgets, financials and so forth available now? They were not settled in.
No, not yet. It's in process now. We have the website up. We're going to be adding to that website on a regular basis, so they'll be there soon.
Will old stuff be carried over?
Pardon me?
Old stuff, that first residential hat, will that be put on this website? So we can see past bids, past proposals,
Did anybody get the website besides, I mean, did anybody here get it?
Yes.
You got it? You got it? Yeah, because a lot of us didn't get it.
Yes,
Okay.
we have a document center that
Okay.
you can find all of your historical data.
So we'll
anything,
go up there.
anything that was transferred during the transition, we would put that into the document center. You would need to log in to access it, so you want to put that unique verification code to create your credentials.
One of the things that was brought up earlier, I don't know if you guys got it, but there's several people in the community that didn't get the email for whatever reason.
I'll investigate that with Glenn. We can review the capture rate and delivery rate, see who got it, who accessed it. Oftentimes, we hear that it ends up in your junk or spam folder, so if you don't see it directly in your inbox, please check that. But we will work together this week to see if there was a delivery issue, then we'll need to cross-reference email addresses. If there were such a dramatic instance where not enough people got it, there's always a newsletter that can be sent out. People may want to be considered, but at this point we just don't know yet, so we'll investigate that later this week.
Okay. All right. Parking sticker replacement.
We're ordering, in an effort to identify owners as opposed to tenants. We have developed a plan to reissue parking stickers, a different color and so on, to bring them up more current. They'll look very similar, but the objective behind it is you'll have to come in with your registration for your vehicle, and by identifying that, we'll be able to find out who's a tenant and who is an owner. The significance of that is that we have some requirements, the lenders have some requirements, and we want to try and stay below 25% of rentals. And that's obviously a concern as far as property value is concerned. And this is the way we feel that we'll be able to identify the number of renters that we have as opposed to owners. So that's upcoming. So we'll probably be doing that, thinking probably the beginning of December.
So if you're an owner and you have a sticker and you have a garage, is that sticker not good for your guest?
No, it will not be.
No.
Because new stickers will be issued. So if you need a guest sticker, you can get a sticker, but it'll be a different color. The purpose, like I said, is to see the registration to identify who's the owner of the property and who's not.
Glenn, is there any way we can talk about this ARC issue as part of this new website? Because this thing is something that's gone kind of out of control because nobody's known what to do with it. But that's what I'm saying. But if half of us don't have the website, we need to get the website to everybody, and we need to get people on board so people know what to do with this ARC thing because it's out of control. So when can we expect to be able to start monitoring this ARC submission and possibly issuing violations for people that are kind of doing whatever they want to do?
Well, we're going to turn around and resolve the website issue.
Okay, so that'll be first. When can we expect this website issue resolved? Do you know, Damon?
I want to take a look first at the delivery rate. I think, I mean, you're 45 days into transition, is that right? Is that my understanding?
Yeah.
At this point, give or take?
Yeah.
So normally by the 60-day mark, the website would be fully operational.
Okay.
Having just started reviewing the transition this week with Glenn, I really want to start just with the distribution first, and then I think maybe take a closer look next week on your ARC application process. Maybe there's some ways to make it a little bit more efficient. I've certainly heard a little about some of the violations that are going on, so maybe there's a way to tie this all into some of the software that we have. So we'll have an update for you in your weekly board report.
Okay, yeah.
And then again next Friday.
Like I said, it's something that people are kind of just doing whatever they want, and it's getting out of control, and we're setting precedents where it's kind of okay. So I don't know. I just think it's something we need to get a handle on. one way or another, so we can get that process up and running, even if it's a manual thing at this point. But it's, to have this thing just be kind of obsolete right now is, I think, a big mistake.
Yeah, let's put together a process. Next week, we'll focus on the website and the capture rate first, and then we'll put together an ARC action plan next week.
Okay, I'm not accusing you of not doing this, but like Sandy said, you know, we talk about a lot of things that we're gonna do, and we aren't getting a lot of follow through. We
Fair
just
enough.
simply aren't.
Okay.
So,
Duly noted. So action list next week for ARC violations, and now we're going to curb that.
Have we turned around and decided if the office is gonna be open more than 10 to 4? So working people can turn around and actually see somebody here? Has that been decided? Are we gonna do a weekend, a late night?
We're talking about doing a late night, probably till 7, one night a week. We haven't identified when we want to do that, but probably in the next 2 weeks. I'll discuss that with the board.
Hang on, we got. Glenn was just saying that, he's looking at, one night a week, during the week, for, you know, for folks, but he's gotta talk more to us about what day, things like that. Is there another question?
she's saying, Sandy's saying is we talked about it the last meeting, but we never agreed.
We're back here again.
Yeah,
It was brought up again last meeting, probably before that.
yeah, it's just a constant cycle, and that's what's happening, and I think it's kind of shooting the confidence of some of these residents. We need to follow through.
Gotcha. We will have an answer by the 17th on this one. Got that?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions on the agenda?
So when are the parking stickers gonna be rolled out? Did you say the date?
We don't have a date, we have to order them, and it shouldn't take very long, so like I said, it's probably gonna be, a matter of, probably first week in December, that's what I'm shooting for.
So what about the RV parking?
RV parking today stickers?
Yes,
On what base?
sorry.
I mean, for the RV parking, what do we need to bring to justify the sticker? The boat registration, the trailer registration,
Same
or
thing.
apartment?
Registration,
Yeah.
it's just like a car.
Okay, just making sure, because sometimes there are boats on the RV parking and they don't live there, you know. It's great.
Can you check the timers for the lights, the building lights, because I'm coming out when it's daylight and lights are still on the buildings.
The electricians, good,
I talked to Tom about that this morning.
yeah, we have the electrician scheduled to come tomorrow. It was brought to our attention, yesterday, and, it's the same building. We had to replace the, timer as well as the photo sensor. We think there's a problem with the photo sensor, so the same company that did the original install is coming out tomorrow to address that.
Okay, so daylight savings is happening on the 7th, so can we factor that in so it doesn't come back in November?
Well, yes, we know, we realize, we had to do something with the changing of the, getting darker sooner. We couldn't wait till, the time change.
Right, just factor in an hour.
Yeah, we know we're gonna have to go back and retest them all again.
When the pool lights and the hot tub lights also don't come on until much later.
They just came on
Those
now.
lights just came on.
Yeah, it's been dark for 2 hours.
If Tom needs help with the timers, I'm fairly familiar with them.
He is working hard on
I
that.
know.
He's been at my door, I don't know how many times.
Okay.
He did it right.
There being no questions, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
I second.
Approved. It passed.
Aye.
Meeting ended. Thank you.
This is
What's going on?
He's wondering why you're wearing a hat.
No, he said, did you get a haircut? And then I saw the hat, and I was like, maybe he wasn't happy with your haircut.
Well, I do my own hair.
That's what I told him.
I'm cheap. Who the heck is Linda somebody or other?
Who?
Her name is Linda Mitchell. Hold on.
What does she want?
She is being snide as get out. She's been absolutely monopolizing my time all night, so I finally said, look, I can't keep focusing just on you. So she got all snippy. Absolutely snippy about it.
Wait, what does she want you to do?
So Linda Mitchell, I've had numerous negative replies to my chats, blah, blah, blah. So she's posting all this stuff. That didn't answer my question. They didn't, right? So let's go to the beginning here. Linda Mitchell, this board allows questions, so this is my response to her. So she keeps saying stuff like, break the freaking contract to me. Let's go up a little higher up. Annie Reach, Linda to everybody, deja vu all over again, Debbie, right? And then I just responded, the last landscape company cost us $14,000, right? So then she goes, so break the freaking contract. When did the board meeting change to an open forum? This board allows questions as long as it's on topic. Right, Linda, prior boards didn't allow questions.
That's true.
That didn't answer the question. They did allow questions after the agenda. She just keeps going on and on. So I responded back with, I have better things to do than focus on you alone, Linda. Feel free to attend. So that was my one snide comment to her, because she just keeps going and going. Who are you anyway, Lakecrest Ponies?
We don't need a quorum of people. We only need a quorum of women.
Right? Look at her. She's going. So had numerous. So then she posts to everybody.
Yeah.
So then I said, it was me. Hi Linda, my name is Jason Gillen. I'm a volunteer doing the video recording and now the Zoom. If you have concerns, please do feel free to attend in person or post to the general chat. I simply don't have time to do both recordings, respond to all when you are addressing complaints about the board format. So then Annie chimed in, right? So then here she goes again. Who is this Linda Mitchell Michaels? So I posted her snippy comment to the everyone, because that's what I told her to do, posted everyone.
Way to go, buddy.
Yeah.
Now what did she write, Annie?
Annie's fallen off the topic after I posted it was me. So there's a few other comments, and this is me. Last response direct to you, to Linda. You seem to believe that I set this up. This is the condo board Zoom account. This is set up as the board. Board members can see the general chat. I simply can't focus on you exclusively. So then she keeps going. That's the rest of it.
I like how Annie's totally on board till she figures out it's you, and then she's like, oh no!
Right? I have no way to save this chat.
You do?
I need to save the chat. I think I'm gonna freaking quit. My face, she can go and freaking attend in person if she wants.
Recording stopped.
Don't worry, it's paused.
Well, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. Okay? Keep me in the I heard something. I didn't hear. I heard something.
So I did hit the save. I can't even copy it out. I can't even copy it out. There's no option here, right? The only one I can do is the most recent one. Go save chat. Chat saved. I hope it's not just Terry.
Can you just go all the way up and save it and just copy
I'm
it
going to
into a
capture
Word
screen.
document? Yeah.
I'm not sure where the chirping's coming from. Is that mine?
Oh, there's chirping?
Yeah. I think it's coming from somewhere over there.
Is that big guy?
No, everyone's gone now. Yeah. I've stopped the video and the mic. It's all on mute. So I'm just trying to figure out how to save the chat. There's going to be some fallout.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think.
It's got to be someone's phone.
Yeah, or no.
It does, doesn't it?
Maybe it's.
Somebody's phone.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, I think part of it is it's going good.
All right, I managed to scrape it.
Are you gonna hang around a while?
No.
Good.
I got to pack all this up yet, but
Maybe we'll go get the puppy. And then we'll go potty.
Great to meet you as well. Yeah. I went smooth. So you guys got some good projects.
Karen Thompson. Yes, you certainly got to work with net basketball. Okay, but I am from New York. They have a rookie. He's a great shooting rookie.
and documents.
Karen Thomas. That's exactly. Like, I was looking at the name, that all was under the previous.
Alright, I'm gonna let that convert for however long it takes. It's gonna be a while.
you so far, that's fine. Richard is upstairs. So I just put in this new floor. Richard poured out all wood floor, poured out all the concrete underneath the wood floor, poured out the subfloor, so we opened up the joints.
He goes anywhere.
That's what we paid any place to have.
So nobody's,
To my knowledge, no one's done that for any, no one's done that for. So you know what Henry's doing? I'll tell you what Henry's doing. So, because I was there. Henry's taking pictures, his dad's a lawyer, right? So, I know Henry's already in Henry's.
I'll do 2 hours.
So Henry's got his backup. Henry's been down taking pictures of the garbage. Well, you're after me for putting in a new floor. Why aren't you after the guy who just ripped out all the concrete and subfloor of the proper?
we have all this, these selective violations that we're not consistent with.
You trim it, you see what you're getting.
Every day there's tons of work.
Call the community together, and, you know, these kind of things they need to know. We'll go through the treasurer's report here. As indicated to us in the beginning, Castle would need the full 90 days to have a completed financial statement for us. They're on pace to meet this goal. Castle continues to work with our banks to validate funds and transfer them to accounts that are favorable to us financially. One thing I will mention regarding that is that the banks, they won't close accounts until all the checks from the accounts have passed through. So we're waiting on a couple of banks for that. Additionally, FSR has been, you know, very difficult to get financial statements from. They aren't transmitted into Castle, which is disturbing. So Castle has gone great lengths to get that information, and they're working with actually Castle's president of the company, or excuse me, FSR's president, to get this information. Our reserve funds continue to build, and we should have enough to pay for phase 3 roofing project. We're certainly very close by now. When we receive the first statement from Castle, we'll be reviewing this. Invoices that have approved over the course of the last month are normal charges that were budgeted. Nothing was out of the ordinary. That's come to my eyes through the invoice approving portal that Castle has. We have a few proposals that we're waiting to see where we fall financially by the end of the year before we approve. We're taking great pains to not go overboard on spending going into the end of the year. I'm still anticipating making budget by the end of the year. We received another item. We received the first draft of the budget through email from Castle. The board reviewed it. We weren't happy with the first draft, so we asked Castle to go back and sharpen their pencil. And one of the large items that everyone needs to know is that the insurance costs throughout Florida has really gone through the roof.
Oh, yeah. Again.
I know you've seen it on your property, your personal property and all that, but we've had quotes as high as 20% increase over what we're currently paying, down to a low of 13. And while we may, let's see, plus there's insurance coverages that we're mandated to have as a condominium community. While we may disagree that we even need it, the fact is the law forces us to have it. We have had, I told you about the estimates. There are ways to cut back on the increases, but to do these, to do that would mean increasing deductibles, or in some cases, cut back on coverages. But as you know, insurance is a game, and it's important not to roll the dice too much in your favor, or you could be caught with your pants down, not paying more if something tragic happens. But this is a line item which is really one of, I think it's the largest expense that we have. And if we can minimize this item's impact while keeping good coverage, the budget will look better. Also, there's other areas that we're going to be tweaking on the budget as well. So we're working on that, just wanted you to know. We're definitely trying to keep the budget neutral going into next year, but with costs going up everywhere, I can tell you flat out that we're challenged with that. We're currently working with the insurance companies, like I mentioned, but and our current insurance company is one of those companies that we're presently working with. Also, we're going to consider making investments in security upgrades for our property. I know the chief mentioned lighting. Lighting is one thing that we're looking at. We also talked about cameras in specific areas, you know, such as in and out of the driveways here, and also over by the dumpster area. When we get everything laid out on this, we'll make sure that we report on this and let everybody know. Unfortunately, as the city of Jacksonville grows, so does the crime, and you know, we're not excluded from it. And it's been creeping this way for a couple of years. But it is nice to know from the chief that we're kind of on the low end in terms of crime. That's got to be a good feeling for everybody. I know it is for me. Also today, it actually happened today, and I just added it to my notes. We had a gentleman from the reserve, for the company that did the reserve study. And he was here today. Some of you may have seen him on the property walking around, and he's just reassessing what they did back in 2018 or 17. Can't remember the exact date, but they're kind of re-evaluating things again. And the reserve study that he does helps us to determine, obviously, the money that we need to set aside for reserves. So he's going to get that back to us pretty quick, because I told him that the budget comes out on November 17th, so we got to have that information. And that's it on the treasurer's report. Are there any questions?
Did the reserve guy take a look at that expense, because that's over a $10,000 expense?
Yes.
It would need to be included.
The pool, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good, because that had to be part of reserve.
Yep.
Do we have any information here on like layout per month? Like what did we lay out for the attorneys and what we laid out over the last month? Is there anything
Yes.
normally?
It was just given to me.
Oh, I know.
So.
But how are we doing on?
But like I said in the report, our expenses are not any different than normal.
I was just wondering, like, with the fact that we switched attorneys and we unloaded a lot of that big $5,000 upfront cost, and we unloaded the monthly fee, I would think we're significantly in better shape.
We had no attorney's fees and stuff.
Look at that.
So.
Yeah,
and to date, our attorney fees have only been, I want to say it's less than $2,000.
And we
we paid them, the former person, I think, close to $5,000 up front.
Up front, not a retainer, just a fee. And then we were paying $350-ish per month just to be with the guy. And then we had a few things covered, but this is a significant improvement. So, and hopefully it'll continue to be. So I thought I'd just throw positive out there when it comes to production.
Thank you. Any other questions on the treasurer's report? Yes, ma'am.
I have never heard a treasury report as good as yours was.
Pardon me?
Absolutely.
Detailed.
Absolutely.
Everything.
I didn't hear that.
Great job.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, manager's report.
Okay. Throughout the month, as was discussed when the chief was here, we
You speak a little louder.
Yes.
Your hands in your face.
One of the things we've been addressing throughout the community has been the lighting. The chief indicated that that's a major deterrent. I met with several contractors to ride the property in the golf cart with them and pointed out different areas that we need to have addressed. I think it's pretty clear that our lighting is aged, discolored, and so on. So that would be one way of improving the lighting across the board. We're discussing and taking proposals for hiring a bucket truck to evaluate the lighting that we have and see about fitting that lighting with more efficient and brighter lighting, LED specifically. So we're working on that. I think that'll help out. Steve and I have spoken, and he also feels that there's some voids in the coverage of lighting, and there might be some additional lampposts that may have to be installed. So we're getting pricing on all of that to make some financial decisions. Steve mentioned about the budget. These are all things that contribute to our expenses, and security cameras are in with that as well. So just to let you know, we are taking this crime issue very, very, very seriously, and we're working to turn around and do what we can as a community to combat the delinquents, for lack of a better term. The valves, I just want to report that Tom, our maintenance person, has actually gone around and tested all the shut-off valves. I know that was a priority that Dick had asked us to address. And the good news is that all but 2 were functional, and he was able to shut them off and test them. So that's good news. We're going to have the plumber take a look at those 2 that are corroded to a point where we weren't able to adjust them. So that's on our to-do list. I meet weekly, as I told you in the past, with Duval Landscaping, Mike Woodring, and we ride the property. We've got concerned areas that you've reported to me either by telephone or email. I make a list of them. We run down the list when he arrives on Tuesday, and we drive the property. I think we're getting caught up. We're not where we want to be ultimately, but we're working towards it. There's certain things that he's educated me on as to how and why they do the things they do, and I try to convey those to you, as specifically as the leaf removal and so on that will take place as contracted for twice a year. We're waiting for the final drop of the leaves before they do the fall leaf removal. That one will involve actually raking, blowing, and actually hauling the leaves away, as opposed to what they're doing now, and that is mulching the leaves if they can. Let me see.
Have they done a better job of that, Glenn? Because there was a controversy at the last meeting where they were blowing this stuff into the street, whereas blowing it into the grass and then cutting the grass. Has there been improvement in that area? Because that was a hot button, and rightfully so.
I just got an email this afternoon from Mike talking that they're not going to be doing because of the pending larger leaf removal, they're not going to be blowing and mulching at this juncture. They're going to wait until they have the final fall and their final leaf clearance, is what he stated.
Okay, well,
I haven't had a chance to respond to him. I don't think that's, I think that's premature.
Okay, I'm half wondering if we're not gonna be overloaded with leaves, and then there we're gonna be, and we can't get in a situation where, oh, we're leaves, and then we avoid the rest of the property. That was my concern last year, is everything was being focused on leaves. I know it's another company, but we need to ensure that they're...
One thing that everyone should be aware of, that right now, if your lawn isn't being cut, that's that's by design. This juncture, the grass isn't growing as quickly as it typically does, so they do what they're calling spot cutting. If you feel that your property or your location needs to be addressed, again, I can put it on my list to discuss with Mike on Tuesdays, and we'll make sure that it gets addressed. But like I said, I'm learning as we go how the contract was written, and we even went back thanks to the the link to go to YouTube to see about their presentation and what they discussed as to what they were gonna promise. Mike has viewed it at this point, and he's talking to his supervisors to make sure that they deliver on what was promised. So, it's a good sign.
Yeah.
I've been in contact with All Weather and Prime Roofing about some of the problem areas that we have as far as repairs are concerned or roof leaks. There's some issues with the chimneys. Steve has informed me that the roof leaks, even though the phase 3 has not been completed, Prime Roofing has committed to addressing those roof leaks, even though there's a project pending. That was part of the contract negotiations that had been done prior to my arrival. So we're addressing that. There was a couple of instances where we've had some water damage and they've had to be called back. All Weather has had to come back because either there's still a leak pending or there needs to be some finish work. And I've been in contact with their supervisor, excuse me, to make sure that someone other than a worker comes and sees, does an inspection, because a couple of instances we're not satisfied with the job that they're done, have done, and we want to follow up to make sure that before we pay them, we address those problems.
What about
Do
the
you know
better
if-
issue?
Hang on. Do you know if that one unit in number 9, building 9, got taken care of?
Which was it? Yeah, that's
Yeah. Remember, they didn't, that person sent us an email and said that they didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
Did we go back at them?